Okay, so you're thinking about hiring a MetaTrader 4 developer, automating your Forex or CFD trading.
Yeah.
It can really up your game.
Absolutely.
But finding the right developer can feel like you're trying to crack the Enigma code.
I know what you mean.
But don't worry, that's what we're here for.
Exactly.
We're diving deep into the most common questions people have when hiring a MetaTrader 4 developer.
Sounds good.
And speaking of getting it right, have you heard about theperfectdeveloper.com?
Yeah, I have actually. They specialize in connecting people with the perfect developer.
They're great for their needs.
Absolutely. Head over there and check out their 5 questions tool. It's designed to help you figure out exactly what you need and where to find it.
I like it.
Now let's get into some of those frequently asked questions.
Okay.
First off, what exactly does a MetaTrader 4 developer do?
Well, think of them
as the architects.
Yeah, we hear the term thrown around a lot, but what's the nitty-gritty
of your trading strategy?
Yeah.
But instead of blueprints and concrete, they use code.
Oh, okay.
They're the ones who build those automated trading systems, custom indicators and scripts that can give you that extra edge in the market.
So it's not just about knowing how to code.
No.
They need to understand.
They need to understand the ins and outs of finance as well.
Right.
Absolutely.
Like the whole 9 yards.
A good MT4 developer needs to be fluent in both MQL4, which is the platform's language, and trading concepts.
So they got to speak both languages.
Things like technical analysis, risk management, different financial instruments. They need to know it all.
Wow.
They're not just building software, they're building your financial strategy in code.
It's like translating.
So that understanding of how the markets work is critical.
Finance into computer language.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now, where do you even find these developers?
Well, you actually
like a rare breed.
Have quite a few options.
Like what?
You can check out freelance platforms, specialized job boards, even trading forums.
Really?
Where developers hang out and showcase their work.
Interesting.
And of course, theperfectdeveloper.com is a fantastic resource.
Right.
They vet developers thoroughly.
Right.
So you know you're getting someone with proven experience.
So it's a bit of a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
But there are definitely tools and resources available to help.
There are.
Let's say you've found a few promising candidates.
Okay.
What skills should you be looking for besides the obvious coding and finance knowledge?
Experience with algorithmic trading is crucial.
Okay.
You want someone who understands how to build trading strategies that can be executed automatically.
So it does it on its own, basically.
Then look for strong debugging skills.
Okay.
Remember, this is your money we're talking about.
Right.
So you don't want your trading bot going rogue. Oh, God, no.
And making unauthorized trades. That would be a nightmare.
So experience with the platform.
Okay.
A solid understanding of financial markets and the ability to fix any issues that come up.
Got it.
Yeah.
You got it. But how much is all of this expertise going to cost? Be honest.
Salaries can vary quite a bit, depending on experience, location, and the complexity of your project.
Are we talking a king's ransom here?
For example, a junior developer in Eastern Europe might cost you around $30,000, $40,000 per year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
While a senior developer in the U.S. could command upwards of $150,000.
Wow, that's quite a range.
Yeah.
So where you hire from can make a big difference in cost.
It absolutely can. If you're looking for more budget-friendly options, Asia and Eastern Europe often have very skilled developers at competitive rates.
Interesting.
It's all about finding the right balance between your budget and the level of expertise you need.
Right. So you don't necessarily have to break the bank to get a good developer. Okay, so let's move on to another big question.
Okay.
Full-time, part-time, in-house, or outsource?
That really depends on your specific needs and resources.
How do you decide which route is best for you?
Full-time in-house developers give you a lot of control.
Okay.
And allow for deep integration with your existing systems, but that comes at a higher cost.
Right.
On the other hand, outsourcing or hiring part-time can be much more cost-effective.
I see.
Especially for specific projects or if you have a limited budget.
So many choices.
There are.
It's like trying to pick a flavor at an ice cream shop.
I know, right?
With 100 different options.
So many.
What are some of the common pitfalls people stumble into when hiring MT4 developers?
Yeah.
Are there any red flags we should watch out for?
Absolutely. There are some definite traps to avoid. One of the biggest ones is not properly vetting the developer's experience.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to just take their word for it.
Right. Don't just take their word for it.
How do you really dig into that?
Dig into their portfolio. Look for projects similar to what you have in mind. And don't be afraid to ask for references.
So it's not just about what they've done,
right,
but also who they've done it for.
Exactly.
Checking those references can really give you some insight, I think,
absolutely,
into their work ethic and how they handle client relationships.
Precisely. Another mistake is overlooking security.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
this is your money we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
You need someone who understands security best practices inside and out.
Well, how do you assess that?
Ask them specific questions.
I mean, I'm not a coder. How can I tell if someone knows their stuff when it comes to security?
About their security protocols, how they handle sensitive data, and what measures they take to prevent unauthorized access.
Okay.
A good developer will be able to walk you through their approach in a way that makes sense, even if you're not a tech expert.
Okay, that makes sense. Vet their experience.
Yeah.
Prioritize security. And what was the other one? Oh, yeah, long-term support.
That's right. Think about what happens if something goes wrong down the line.
Right, you don't want them to just disappear.
Exactly. Do they offer ongoing support? How do they handle updates and bug fixes?
Right.
These are all things you need to consider up front.
Yeah, it really is entering a long-term relationship. You need to make sure you're compatible.
Yeah.
And that they're going to be there for you when you need them.
I like that analogy.
It's not just a hire, it's a potential partnership.
Yeah.
So clear communication and a good cultural fit are also really important.
Absolutely. You want someone you can work with effectively, someone who understands your vision and can translate that into a functional trading system.
Speaking of vision, let's talk about defining the project scope.
Absolutely.
I imagine that's crucial to avoid headaches down the road.
Before you even start looking for a developer, you need to have a crystal clear understanding of what you want to build. What are your specific goals? What kind of trading strategies do you want to automate?
Okay.
What features are essential? And what are nice to haves?
Right.
The more specific you can be up front, the better.
So it's like building a house.
Exactly.
You wouldn't start construction without a detailed blueprint.
Having that blueprint in place will help you attract the right developers and ensure that everyone is on the same page from the start.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've got our blueprint. We know what we want.
Okay.
Now, how do we find that perfect MT4 developer who can make it all happen?
Well, we've touched on this a bit already, but you have several options.
What are those again?
Freelance platforms can be a good starting point, but you'll need to do a lot of vetting yourself.
Okay.
Specialized job boards can be more targeted, but they often come with fees.
Right.
And then, of course, there's the perfectdeveloper.com.
Right.
They really simplify the process by pre-vetting developers and matching you with candidates who have the specific skills and experience you need.
That's nice. It sounds like they take a lot of the guesswork out of the equation.
They do.
Yeah. I know you've mentioned them a few times now, but it really does sound like a valuable resource.
They really are. They understand the intricacies of MT4 development and can connect you with developers who have a proven track record of success.
All right, so let's say we've found some potential candidates.
Okay.
Through one of these avenues. What's next? How do we really grill them?
The interview process.
To make sure they know their stuff?
Is where you really separate the wheat from the chaff.
Okay.
This is your chance to dig into their technical skills, their understanding of financial markets, and their overall approach to MT4 development.
So what kind of questions should we be asking?
Don't be afraid to get technical.
Okay.
Ask them to walk you through how they would build a specific trading strategy in MQL4.
Got it.
Ask them about their experience with different types of indicators and expert advisors. Throw in some scenario-based questions to see how they think on their feet.
So put their coding and trading instincts to the test.
Exactly.
I like it. But it's not all about technical skills, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about communication and cultural fit. How do you assess those during the interview?
Pay attention to how they communicate. Are they clear and concise?
Okay.
Do they listen attentively and answer your questions thoughtfully?
Got it.
Do they seem genuinely interested in your project?
Right.
These are all important clues.
It's about finding someone you can trust and collaborate with effectively.
Right.
It's like assembling a team for a high-stakes mission.
Yeah.
You need people you can rely on and who share your vision for success.
That's a great way to put it. And remember, you're not just interviewing them, they're interviewing you too.
Oh, that's true.
They want to make sure it's a good fit for them as well.
This is all great advice, but what about the money?
Wow.
I mean, how do you decide on a fair price?
It's definitely a good idea to discuss rates and payment terms early on in the process. Once you've outlined your project scope and have a good understanding of the developer's experience and skills, you can start talking about budget.
Okay, so how do you determine what's fair? Are there industry benchmarks or resources we can refer to?
There are definitely resources available that can give you an idea of typical rates for MT4 developers.
Okay.
You can also reach out to theperfectdeveloper.com.
Right.
They have a lot of experience in this area and can provide guidance on fair market rates.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's always good to have an expert opinion to back you up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we move on to the final stage of our deep dive,
okay,
where we'll explore some final words of wisdom and things to keep in mind,
right,
I want to circle back to theperfectdeveloper.com.
They really are a one-stop shop for all your MT4 development needs.
They certainly seem like it.
Yeah.
Now, let's move on to those final words of wisdom.
Wow.
So we've talked about finding the right developer, vetting their experience, and even negotiating rates.
Yeah.
But are there any other potential pitfalls to watch out for? What about things that could go wrong even after you've hired someone?
Yeah, you're right. It's not all smooth sailing just because you've signed a contract.
Okay.
One common mistake is not having a clear testing and feedback process in place.
Oh.
You need to be involved throughout the development lifecycle, testing each stage and providing feedback to make sure things are on track.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of deal.
No, not at all.
You need to be actively engaged in the process.
Think of it like building a custom suit.
Okay.
You wouldn't just give your measurements to a tailor and then show up for the final fitting.
Right.
Without any check-ins along the way.
You want to see how it's all coming together?
You want to see how the fabric drapes, how the seams fit, and make adjustments as needed.
Okay.
It's the same with software development.
That's a great analogy.
It is.
And speaking of fit, we've talked a lot about technical skills and experience, but what about personality?
Oh, that's important too.
How important is it to find a developer who's a good fit for your team and your working style?
It's crucial. You're going to be spending a lot of time communicating with this person.
Right.
So you need to make sure you can work together effectively. Look for someone who's a good communicator, who's open to feedback, and who's willing to collaborate.
So finding someone who's not just technically skilled, but also easy to work with?
Yes.
That's a winning combination.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the importance of clear contracts and agreements.
Oh, right. The legal stuff.
Make sure everything is spelled out in detail.
Okay.
The scope of work payment terms, ownership of intellectual property, and procedures for handling disputes.
So no handshake deals or verbal agreements.
Right.
Get it all in writing.
Get it all in writing that protects both you and the developer.
That's a good point.
And one last thing, don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it.
Right.
There are resources available like theperfectdeveloper.com that can guide you through the entire process from defining your project scope to negotiating contracts and managing the development process.
That's a great reminder. It's a specialized field, and there's no shame in seeking expert advice.
Exactly. And remember, automating your trading can be a game changer, but it's an investment.
True.
Choose your developer wisely, be clear about your needs, and don't cut corners.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive into the world of hiring MT4 developers.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much, and I hope our listeners have too.
Me too.
Any final words of wisdom before we wrap up?
Just remember, finding the right MT4 developer can be a challenge, but it's well worth the effort.
Okay.
Take your time, do your research, and don't be afraid to ask lots of questions.
Good advice.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember that theperfectdeveloper.com is a fantastic resource.
Yeah.
They can simplify the process and help you find the perfect developer for your needs.
That's great advice. And that's a wrap on our mini deep dive into the world of hiring MetaTrader 4 developers.
We hope you found it informative and helpful. Remember, automating your trading can be a game changer, but it all starts with finding the right developer. And don't forget to visit theperfectdeveloper.com and try the 5 questions. It's a great way to get started on your journey to automated trading success. Until next time, keep diving deeper.